Hey guys, my name is Kendrick and welcome to ENFP Mail. Today I get to interview Becca. So do you go by Rebecca or Becca?
Probably Rebecca
Rebecca?
is, yeah.
Okay, we'll go with Rebecca then. So welcome Rebecca. Thanks for doing this interview. Uh, so you were unofficially typed by Dave as an INTJ, but what kind of INTJ did you get typed as? So can you tell us what your animals are and your sexual modalities?
Mm-hmm. So, um, feminine on the sensory, um, feminine also on the DE, so double feminine. And he gave me blast play, so double activated on the blast play, sleep consume, blast play, sleep consume. So basically, this is not anything different from Dr. Joe, what's his name? Benenza, the one who was in the class this week. That's the same type except for the modalities.
So you would be a quite an extroverted INTJ then, as a result of your type.
Yep,
And
yep,
have you
yeah.
felt
That's
that was quite accurate growing up then, that you were quite extroverted as an INTJ?
yes. When I say that, I remember my childhood being um, where I would spend a lot of time on my own. My mum remembers it and says, "No, what are you talking about? You were desperate for attention all the time. You're always coming in and jumping in with the people." And so I suppose there's a balance of both going on.
Gotcha. Now, what did you think and how did you feel when you got your type back from Dave?
That's a good question. Um, I had spent the few months this year that I've been in the class um, trying to let go of my thinking I was an INTJ for a long time and just being ready to accept whatever type I am because it's the type I am, not because I have any sort of attachment to this is the best type or this is the type that's the most intelligent and I need that sort of thing to validate myself. Um, but in the previous, in the couple of days right before I was doing before I was going to have my call with Dave, I started thinking, you know what, it only really does make sense that I'm an INTJ. I started, like, I had spent months trying to understand the other functions, and then when I started maybe guessing, oh, what is Dave going to get me at? I was just like, this is not going to make sense if he doesn't get if he gets me as anything other than an INTJ. And then when we were in the call, he didn't even really make an announcement about it. I was just like, so yeah, I'm an INTJ. He's like, yeah. I was like, kind of, it was a weird like drop into revealing what he had gotten to.
Anticlimactic, you mean?
Yeah, it was kind of like he already sensed that I knew what it was, and he didn't actually have to tell me. And so when I actually had to confirm, it was my like confirming my own suspicions rather than asking him what type I was that he had gotten. I don't know. It was a yeah.
Did you
So
feel
I was expecting that basically maybe that whole few months of trying to get used to, no, I'm not really going to be an INTJ, but then suddenly at the last minute, I need to be an INTJ. I need that kind of just crept back in, and but it was actually right, and maybe it was right based on my actually getting to know what the functions are.
now?
Yeah.
Did you feel validated when you were actually declared as an INTJ, or did you feel
Hmm.
like I mean, how did you feel about the whole situation?
It's pretty difficult for me to take the old stereotypes of what an INTJ is,
Right,
some, Steve Jobs mastermind kind of person.
right.
Um, it's hard to understand then what does it look like as a woman, because there's supposed to be all of that bullcrap statistics saying that there are only so many people who are particular types, and it's not really showing up in Dave and Shan's typing. So, I do wonder why those statistics exist. But um, I don't know. The validation that I got from INTJ is kind of more like it's still taking me a while to even understand what that means. So I don't know. It's kind of like, yep, I've got my diagnosis now. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? It was kind of like I'm still trying to work out how do I manage this.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about objective personality is that yes, there is that stereotype of what an INTJ is, but that's 1 out of 32, right? Like that
Yeah.
mastermind, chess master that's gonna, destroy you with their strategy. But like, there's so many different flavors of INTJs that, the other INTJs kind of gets forgotten or maybe mistyped as something else. Now, you would have you have masculine NI. So do you feel like you forget about your body when you get so focused at just doing your day-to-day thing, whatever it is that you are obsessing over with a masculine NI? Do you feel like you've spent maybe several hours working that one thing with so much focus that you forgot to take care of your body? Does that ever happen to you?
That happened today. I spent as I already told you, but I spent the entire day trying to work out how to get my DSLR to be my webcam, and at the end of it, it didn't actually work, and I still haven't had anything to eat today.
Yeah.
It happens. I forget to go to bed a lot especially if I'm on the computer, but just I forget to go to bed and I forget to eat. I do get into that mode if I'm not careful. Yeah.
Now, your TE is feminine, so do you feel like you're quite flexible with the tribe? Like, whenever you're dealing with people, you kind of, go with the flow, kind of like if someone wants to do this, you're like, okay. If someone wants to do something else, you're like, okay. Like you're pretty flexible with whatever works with the tribe, or would you say you're not?
I definitely, I think I am bowing down to what does work for the tribe. Because even if I did want a different suggestion, I understand entirely that it's not going to work if nobody else is on board with it. Otherwise, I understand the feminine reasoning being, whatever the conclusion is that I'm trying to argue, that's what's going to stay the same. So I'm masculine and strong, solid on the important point, the thing that's the value that I'm trying to get other people on board with. And I will change the chain of reasoning to make to like I can draw any different argument to prove the point, depending on if the person likes scientific explanations or if they like a more but I don't actually, nothing's coming to mind for like just different chains of reasoning to get the same conclusion. I can kind of dance around with that game.
Now, your first animal is blast, which is NITE. So that would mean you're very NT. Do you agree with that? Like you're like you're a nerd at heart. You like figuring things out, making sure that everything's working for the tribe, even for yourself. So figuring things out or puzzling, I guess you could say, is something that you enjoy. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I do Sudoku puzzles all the time. I do. I just binged the season 4 of Sherlock. That was incredible, and I started seeing my NI come into play in that one as well. I I don't necessarily understand. I don't know specifics, but definitely the anecdote of being a nerd is just the only thing you can describe me as. I did a survey for my friends and family before I got Dave typing me, and everybody, 100% of 9 or maybe 8 people. 8 people just said NT and nerd whenever that was an option. So yeah, and I really don't understand the world of SF and the other languages. I don't speak them.
You don't understand it, or you don't want to do it.
I don't know, like especially with Christmas coming up, because people are asking, you know, what am I supposed to get you for Christmas? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't want anything. I've got everything I need. Everything's working. The only one thing that I'm after is something I've been asking for like 3 years now, which is a piece of furniture by my door. But like, and I've been searching on the internet for like, give me some suggestions of things that I want for Christmas. And it's all SF stuff. It's all clothing and makeup and.
So you want that stuff. You want the clothing. You want the makeup. Like you want to look nice and stuff. Like
I do. Actually, I don't want to gather any more of it. I've already got those things, and I'm set with my system that I already have, and
right.
I just don't need any more of it. I don't know. Yeah.
So SF is your last animal. That's your consume. Can you talk about having consumed last and your struggles with SF, or do you like to consume SF stuff when you do consume?
No, I'm not doing SF stuff when I'm consuming. Basically, my understanding of it is, of course, I don't do any less consuming than anybody else. I just don't consume anything I don't do the sensory for myself, for my feminine FI, for my FI. I'm consuming stuff that is all for the purpose of my NT, which is why what I end up consuming is lectures and sermons and studies of logic, and like I'll do heaps and heaps and heaps of it, and it would look at. That's why I was confused to the big when I first thought I was maybe lead consume. So just whenever I have free time, I will watch something or read something or listen to a podcast, but it is all still very nerdy stuff.
Right. So you wouldn't like watch the Kardashians or like or even know what that is, or like, or like go to Instagram and just like look at like dog pictures or any of that stuff. You don't do any of that stuff?
I've tried Instagram, and I really fail at it. There's nothing that draws me back.
Yeah.
And the Kardashians, I don't have that on
no
typical TV. So that kind of stuff I would only ever as like a guilty pleasure. I would definitely not. I don't know, because I watch a lot of fiction, but not reality TV stuff. I don't know.
So let's go to your FI, because you briefly just mentioned it. You were typed with masculine FI. Do you feel like you can use your FI? Do you feel like you understand, your inner values, your inner world? You're a double decider. So do you ever consult your FI first before making a decision? Do you always say things like, I like this, or I don't like this, or I hate this, or I love this? Like, do you ever consult that when you make a decision, or do you forget about your feet?
I think I do. I don't think anybody can make a decision without knowing whether or not they like the decision they're making. I was in the shoe shop the other day trying to get new shoes, and of course I ended up with 2 pairs that were black and white, and the only difference was the brand and the price. And so I kind of said to my FI, hey, do you want to do the brand loyalty thing? Do you want to do this has more social value? And my FI was kind of like, it's maybe, but also there were reasons and there were values, and it was just there wasn't enough strong on either way. And so I kind of because of that, I asked the assistant who was helping me, and I basically told her, you have to tell me which ones I want, you have to tell me which ones to get, because the reasons and the values are just too even and there's no consequence either way. And so I basically just had her tell me what to get, because I couldn't really navigate that problem.
So
I got completely stuck because the values and the reasons were totally even.
So was there any situation, whether that be, buying something or at work, where your FI was definitely the dominant one, where you said, yes, I want this, or no, I don't want this,
I think because I understand I have to like things that I get for myself, I do listen to that side of me, and it is very active. I wondered if I don't know. It is active. I just don't have anything good to say right now, man. It's really just getting boring. I do know when I don't like something, and I do know when I do like something. And so I don't know. Give me an example, because I'm just really lost in the abstract.
Okay, so I can see you're definitely struggling to use your FI right now. Like,
okay.
You went to play to get like your answers, so you're using blast and play, right? So like you didn't even use any sleep at all. Like FI is pretty direct. It's like a straightforward thing, right? Like you were trying to puzzle it. It's not a puzzle. Like FI is not a puzzle. It's like it's straightforward. It's like I like ice cream, or I hate the color blue. Like it's straightforward. There's no puzzling involved. It's just like I like it, I don't like it. I love it, I hate it. I want this, I don't want this. It's straightforward. It's like, do you think you're capable of making those statements? Like,
probably in a different state. Like when I do, it's like the one time I've said it, and I feel like everyone has to respect this now because it's the one time that I said, no, I don't want this happening, or this is what I want. And you better listen to me this one time I'm doing it.
Yeah, you're still puzzling right now. So let's what do you like?
I like cats and
no reasons. What do you like?
I don't know, because there are things I just don't know what's the right thing to say.
There's no right thing to say. This is you.
But I don't really like sharing myself. I don't want.
No, but it could be food, right? Like, like I like sushi. I like burgers. Like it's
the fact that I'm trying to
like why
be on a healthy diet now is actually it just gets in the way of like, no, you can't say you like chocolate, because then you're going to tell yourself you want some.
No reasons.
I know. It's difficult. It's so difficult for me to do it without the reason.
What do you like? What do you not like? It doesn't have to be like a deep secret. It just like it could be food.
Okay, I like Pride and Prejudice. I watched that twice yesterday. Man, this is hard. Tell me the answer. My color schemes I like pink and navy and red and white and gray and black, like those tones. I like things that are that color. I like vanilla Coke and raspberry Coke. I like photography and things being clear, things being, I mean, in the realm of good pictures. There's just something about looking at pictures, even on the Pixel, like when I do stock photos, I look at stock photos for, like, I've done that in the past for my blog, and sometimes it's taken a long time of me just liking those and actually, yeah, take like downloading as many as I can because they're free, but never actually needing them. But just like having my, like, taking them and putting them into my own folder of, like, okay, now these are the photos I can use, rather than only doing that the one time and then not actually getting any more another time. I don't know.
What do you not like?
What I don't like, um I don't really like dogs.
You don't like dogs, okay?
Like, I don't get on with their energy because they're just so big and playful, and I'm just like, I don't know how to deal with that. I'm giving reasons. I can't
No, no,
just
it's
like
okay.
go like anything
No,
but the reasons.
no, you were actually using your NF just now.
My NF.
Yeah, you're asleep. Like you,
Okay.
yeah, you.
Okay. I don't like dogs because I do not want to get a dog because they're too expensive and because I don't have the time to
That's your reason
um
now.
yeah.
The first thing you said was you don't like their energy, right? Like that's
No,
that's
no,
that's that's, that's very NF. So we definitely know that you have demon sleep. That is, 'cause it was so hard for us to pull that out of you. Like it was so much effort for you to switch gears to FI, right? Like it was like there was so much effort involved. Like you eventually got to it,
Okay.
but it took us time to get there. It wasn't like quick, like it wasn't like, like you had to think
Sure.
about it like for quite a bit before we pull it out of you. So it was definitely like a struggle. So hey, you know what? You definitely have demon sleep. That is not a mistake. Um,
Okay.
Now, when you got interviewed by Benjamin, you said that the only thing that he thought was not accurate was you had feminine FI, and he felt like you had feminine FI and masculine PE, right?
Feminine feelings, he said.
Okay. What do you think? Do you think you have feminine feelings or masculine feelings? Like,
No, the things that I like and don't like don't actually change throughout my life. Um,
I mean, let's talk about your emotional state because
mhm.
I like to from what I've seen with people with feminine FI is that their mood tend to swing a lot more. Like their mood is not as stable, it's not, they're not as stable with their mood. It's more like they can be quite moody. Like, you know, for 2 hours, maybe you're excited. The next 2 hours you're depressed. The next 2 hours you're, you know, happy go lucky. The next 2 hours suddenly you are, you know, feeling anxious. Like the mood shifts really quickly, you know. Not saying you're bipolar if you had feminine FI, but like,
That's not bipolar. That's just a moody person.
you're just very moody.
I think being bipolar would actually be less moody because you're either going to be manic or depressed for an extensive periods of time. Um, Bipolar meaning like there's two emotions for a, a periods of time spacing over months even. Um, why am I explaining that?
Because you needed to point
When
the reasons.
when I first met my husband, was then boyfriend, he he described me as incredibly moody. He did, um, but maybe that's just him being inexperienced with girls. um, I don't know, because obviously anytime I agree with something, it ends up with me being confused about what my type is. Um, because if because I'll side with anybody else's reasons. Um, as far as I don't know. What's the question? I think I forgot.
Okay, like
Am I
logically,
moody?
well, no, like logically speaking, it seems like you would have feminine FI, but from like an NF standpoint, I don't get that vibe from you. Like you have feminine FI. Like mainly because you don't give me the vibe that you have masculine TE.
Well, would you put me as the poster girl for feminine feelings?
Well, I wouldn't, because your TE is not, the TE and FI are the opposites, right? And
Mm.
you haven't done any masculine TE at all since we started the interview. Like
Mm-hmm.
even if we do an email correspondence, you're not using masculine TE. You're using feminine TE actually. You're really
Mm.
flexible. Like even today when we set up this interview, you agreed to start it earlier when I requested to start earlier, and you were pretty
Mm.
flexible with that, right?
Yeah,
And
Dave said the same thing.
what? Sorry.
Dave said the same thing. He says I dance around. It's like when I say, "Oh, I know you're busy and I know you may have forgotten the answer, but can you tell me this thing?"
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's kind of like,
You're pretty soft when it comes to the tribe. Like you're pretty gentle. Like
yeah,
not like pushing. You know.
seeing the tribe as something that is masculine is probably what that is um not thinking that I can actually control the tribe. And I don't like to make decisions on behalf of other people, because I always consider they are going to have other preferences, and they are actually going to have to do the thing that I'm asking them to do as well. So I understand that other people may not agree with me, or may not like what I'm up to. So that kind of does lead into being like a fear of what the tribe actually thinks, because if they don't agree with me, then I'm not going to have anybody, and I end up feeling like that's where I've felt like it's me against the tribe, because if the tribe wants to if the tribe wants to be on the side of something that I'm against, I don't actually know how I'm going to. I'm really stuck there. I don't know. Um, I don't feel like I can just say no, change your mind. I am right. Um, I have to weave around all of the things um, that are, yeah, solid with the tribe. I don't know.
You have double feminine play. So I think what's very interesting is our animals, we have a lot of similarities. So we both have double feminine play and we both have double masculine sleep. So I want to ask you what your double feminine play is like. That's your T and your SE together, right? So
Mm-hmm.
Dave said you dance around people, like not, you know, not literally, but
It's not. It's like just being totally undemanding and being like, "Hey, if it's possible, can you give me the information?" And it's, yeah,
so would you say that people think you're pretty easy to deal with then? Because you have the double feminine play? Like,
yeah. But also, when I am with people, I'm very boring. That's the thing, is like it's still an ST play. And so I basically fact check people all the time, and
oh,
it's not really very fun.
right. What about your so I'm really curious, what's your double masculine sleep like? Like you said that you don't like to share yourself, which Dave described as an inner armor. Like you have an armor and no one gets through that armor. Um,
Hmm. Not
and
even my husband.
yeah, like being being vulnerable is something that you absolutely avoid doing at all
Hmm.
costs. Like even though you're double feminine on the outside, like inside you have that like armor that's impenetrable, you know? Like
Mm.
Do you feel that's accurate? And do you ever let some of that inner side out, or is it completely shut off?
I was discovering yesterday that watching romance movies gives me permission to feel those feelings in that realm there. Um, and I think maybe because it's fictional, um, because it's not really my life, I can, if there's any feelings that I have, buried deep inside, um, they get to leak out while I'm experiencing somebody else's story. Um, and then I don't end up actually having to explain, and like basically I still bow down to the reasons, and if I don't have an explanation or a justification to feel a certain way, I really don't understand how anybody else could understand it. And so like I suppose if I sharing that with a friend who is just led with the feelings probably would give me more of a way to get more comfortable there, perhaps.
Your sleep is not only double masculine, it's also NF.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share some of your dreams of the future? Like, what is your ideal life in the future? What would your dream be? There's no reason for this. This is going to be completely your NF. Like, what would your ideal life be like?
I want to homeschool my kids. That's the dream.
That's what you picture yourself doing?
Yep. Um, yep. Homeschooling the kids.
And
I
how would that make you feel if you homeschool your kid?
it would put me in control.
Oh, I see. Okay. I see.
But also just like I really like I suppose that I wonder if that's a typical lead blast dream, is to do homeschooling. Um,
Yeah.
or to be like being a teacher, because I have considered teaching, but I don't want to have to deal with other people's kids. I don't know. Maybe like I could teach in a um, tertiary. Is it tertiary? Yeah, I could teach it now in a tertiary setting, but I'm still young and I wouldn't want to force too much on other people. Um, what was the question?
Oh, no, we were talking about your double masculine um, NF.
Right, my dreams.
Okay, so like not only did you have double masculine NF, and you said that your dream is to homeschool your kid. So what kind of chaos would there be that you came up with if you did not homeschool your kid? Like if your kid went to
False information. They
was
would be they would be taught and molded by the curriculum that I maybe don't understand. I don't know what the lead for that is. I don't know what. So I understand that all the information you receive becomes how you view the world, and if you're not careful of what that is, you end up making conclusions that are wrong based on that logic. And I feel like I would be giving them more freedom because they would I don't know, because I would be able to because then I would be able to share my truth with them, maybe not my truth, but like my collection of things that are true, because maybe I don't, yeah, because I want to make other people see the world the way that I see it, because it is a bit lonely, like it's incredibly lonely, um being in my head, because because I really do think that I'm the only one who understands the world the way that I see it.
One of the things you said is that you don't know what your kids is going to learn in school, right?
Mm.
Why don't you just ask the teacher what they're going to learn? Like, they can give you the outline, right?
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Like, why don't you
I
consume
suppose without thinking about it though,
Sorry?
I'm talking about some sort of overarching agenda that there is behind the curriculum.
So you think there's some kind of controversy or conspiracy behind the curriculum, like some kind of brainwashing or
Well, I don't mean like it's intentional or malicious. I just mean like without thinking about it, teachers can end up. I mean, often teachers have to end up teaching things they don't agree with as well. So, but they teach it like they do believe it. I don't know because now I'm basically making myself look like I'm a person who thinks there's something wrong with the world, and I might be a little bit loopy.
well,
I'm not making it clear, and I'm not.
No, I mean, no, you did. You made it clear that you're a double decider because you kind of talked about your fears, but then you double decided and you said, yeah, I said that. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but that's kind of what I believe in. So it still proved that you're a double decider. Like you saw
Okay.
yourself doing that. So it's still clear in that sense that that definitely proves you're a double decider. Like
Okay.
how you just did that with so much ease, right? Um, it also proves that you're an IJ. Like you're paranoid about like something out there that's gonna happen that
Yeah.
that
I think maybe it's like I want my kids to inherit my IJ box, and I don't want anything else in it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
So it's still that.
what type is your husband? Would you say has he been type?
Oh, he hasn't, but he's low blast because we did sit down about a week ago to do an interview. I was gonna look at it, and it was so short. I said tangent if you want to tangent, just skip whatever you want to skip, do whatever. And he took 12 minutes, and I had added questions onto what usually people, those questions for the typing video that people usually do 40 to 60 minutes. He did it in 12, and the last 2 minutes was actually him just playing with a lighter, and it had to end because he ended up smoking the house out, and he had to put that in the sink. So
God, it sounds like your husband's an EP. Like he's causing chaos. Like
yep, yeah, no, his Myers-Briggs self type on a questionnaire has always been ENFP.
okay, well, ENFPs and INTJs usually end up dating, right? So that would.
So stupid. When we first started dating, I was like, we're gonna spend a night doing all sorts of questionnaire tests and doing personality stuff, and again we got INTJ and ENFP, and I literally used the compatibility description and like put my hopes in that of like, okay, we're suited for each other because of what you've just said. I still do not know why. I've stayed with him another 5 years and married him, and now I'm wondering, there's just too much difference going on.
Well, yeah, you're quite, ENFPs and INTJs are, they're quite different. The only difference that, like I'm an ENFP, right? So the only thing we have that's the same is T and FI, right? But like,
and lead intuition.
yeah, lead intuition, but it's different though. Yours is NI.
Yeah, I see that. I see how different it is.
Yeah. Yeah, the NE and NI definitely will not get along if exposed all day to one another. Because like, you have NI, right? And your NI is masculine.
Mm-hmm.
So your NI, your ideas are personal. So for us ENFPs, the NE, that ideas are not personal. We just tell to everyone. Who cares? It's not a big deal, right? But for you, it's like nope. It's private. I only tell to a few close people that I trust and I respect.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
that person that you just told will tell everyone because that person has NE and they don't care, right?
Well, actually, the first year of marriage, I just had a whole series of, I've discovered this thing. I think like this concept is real. This is true. I take it in. It's personal. I've, I've come, I've made the connections and I've agreed with it. And then I come to him and I say, hey, there's this idea. And it's like, no, that's crazy. It sounds wrong. And I just, for the first year, it was just, it kind of, I don't know, in the same way that tidal waves work, like clockwork, I would go hibernate, discover my thing, come out, share it with him, and it would be just a huge huge unacceptance, and that it got problematic because I ended up being, I think I've shut off now and I don't share my ideas anymore.
How did that make you feel when he shut off your ideas? Like, did you feel hurt or?
Oh, it's the worst. And he'd have all sorts of reasons. Like it's basically, he always says nobody believes that. Nobody else. It's not globally accepted. Therefore, you're wrong. And I'm just like, but you haven't asked all the people in the world. I've actually been listening to other people saying this, so I didn't even come up with it on my own. So I kind of think I'm actually doing the tribe better than him, but somehow he knows that if he says the tribe doesn't agree, that it's somehow going to affect me, even though actually I do know better than he does of what the tribe is saying. I don't know.
Do you have an example, like specific?
Oh, just with the typing even. Like Dave and Shan are stupid because not everybody in the world knows who they are and wants their services. It's like actually basically anybody who discovers them wants their services. And just because, yeah, like I know there's controversy, but he has, I've understood at this point, like his FI is not on board, he doesn't care. But then when Dave has actually just commented on one of his videos, because I shared with Dave that he does biking, and so I shared a video, and Dave actually sent a comment, and now because Levi thinks that Dave's a real person, he got interested and he let me do an interview with him. So yeah, we'll see how that changes. But it's, yeah, once he understands that there are real people who agree with an idea, he does side with it. But but when it's just me suggesting it, he doesn't trust me as a source. He does not think that he knows that I'm smart. He knows that I can work stuff out and I have been right before, but it still doesn't actually change the fact that if I say something, it's probably wrong. Like he feels like he's got that allowance to say that, even though I don't know what's going on there.
Maybe he's not an ENFP. Maybe he's like an EP that's like ESFP or something like a different kind of.
Oh yeah, actually the S, I don't know because I'm still
he needs to get officially.
working it out.
Yeah, he just needs to get officially typed, but it sounds like he's doing a lot of sensory stuff. Maybe that's why he wasn't taking you seriously because, he's not looking at ideas. He's looking at concrete facts.
Mm-hmm.
You're not really giving
But
him.
yeah, we have disagreements about climate change, and he basically says it's a fact. These things are true. You can't not believe them. If you don't believe them, you're wrong. And I'm just like, well, nobody's actually said it in a way that convinces me. Nobody's actually strung together a whole line of facts that really explain anything. It seems to me like a very, I don't know. I just know that I can't really know whether I should believe in it or not because I'm not an expert in the field. So if I wanted to have an opinion, I would actually have to go and study it first. At this point, I just don't think that I should have an opinion because I don't know what facts are the things that really tell you climate change is a thing, because apparently even though it's raining outside or it's getting hotter, you know, like the weather doesn't actually tell you what the climate is, and all sorts of things. It's just such a can of worms that people have already attached personal belief on things, and I kind of think that it's just far too emotional, and also that's why I don't want to get involved, because I think a lot of the time those who the kind of the people who are climate activists, whether they're intending it or not, I get triggered in a way of like, are you telling me I'm solely, like, I'm somehow responsible based on my limited education on understanding how to live in this world in a way that's sustainable? I kind of feel like there's a lot of blame involved, and you can't breach the subject without making people feel like yeah, basically those who are preaching climate change is a problem, the people they say it to, it's kind of angry, and it's kind of in a way that's, you are at fault, you are bad, and it's not, here are the solutions, maybe you could get on board. Like I did my month of getting really, like, doing that education in how do I live more sustainably, and I've moved on to non-disposable straws and non-disposable this and that in my house, and I've done some stuff, so I don't it's just a can of worms.
The last question I want to ask you about your type is SE. So you have feminine SE. So you have trouble gathering in the facts, and the facts for you, it's not solid. It's like you can change the number, for example. Like if someone tells you like a concrete fact, like I'm not very good at, I have demon sensory like you as well, but you know, it's like, let's say someone tells you you're 5'7" or something, that you might change the number around because the number for you, it's not important than the actual number. Would you say that sounds about right for you, or are you good with
Are you
numbers?
talking about statistics, or what's a 5'7"?
Well, you know, SE is gathering facts, right? Like one example is like, let's say I work in the fitness industry, so
Yeah.
if my client steps on a
So does
scale,
my husband.
sorry, what's that?
My husband teaches fitness and recreational
Fitness also
sports.
must be, maybe it's an EP thing, but so let's say someone steps on a scale and their weight is 160 pounds, then I'll write down as 160 pounds. So I've just gathered a fact, which is this person was 160 pounds. So do you feel like you gather facts, like concrete facts on a regular basis, or do you just completely avoid, you know, getting the figures and numbers, you know?
Probably not. I'm probably not observing so much the facts, but more the concepts. I'm looking to the side as if my imagination really is pulling up a whole lot of data, but it's not happening. Do you want to tell me the answer? Let me give an example. Like,
That's okay.
What does it mean?
Well, SE is gathering facts, right? It's, you know,
yeah,
making sure the figures are accurate. Like okay, I'll give you an example.
I don't like to present argument. I don't like to present facts that I don't agree with. There's a fact checker thing that happens inside my brain sometimes, and I just have this conversation with myself of like, I think I've thought a fact, and either I've assumed it or it's been a while since I've read the source. So I ask myself, hey, would you die for that fact? Is that true? would you like, are you really going to tell that to people who are going to believe it? Are you actually going to present that as if it is a fact? And there's this thing in me that's like, no, it has to be objectively correct. That cannot be any, it can't be wrong what I'm saying. But that doesn't mean that I have a lot of things that I can regurgitate. But I will be solid on those 1 or 2 facts that I know.
Now, my last question to you, outside of your type now, is is there any other function? So I can only explain to you functions that I have, but is there anything about the other functions like NE or SI that you don't understand that maybe you want clarifications from or not?
I think I kind of understand them more now. I just knew that I wasn't FE. Either FE was a demon or it was a shadow, because like when I have to take in what other people care about, that is just the most foreign thing to me. But I don't know. Have you got a nugget to share?
A nugget? Well, no. I mean, do you know what SI is?
SI, the collection and organization of a particular group of facts.
I mean, like,
I can see how it's similar to NI, where my NI is a organized collection of concepts that I see happening in the world and how everything connects. SI being just less connected and more just these other facts. And I don't know. Do you want to
you're
go
trying
a
to
bit more
blast,
on that?
you were trying to blast what SI was. No, SI, it's like accounting, like, you get a receipt.
Yeah.
And then let's say you buy I don't know, like I'm gonna go buy my sister a cake for her birthday today.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much the cake will cost, but let's say I get the receipt, it costs $30. So that's SI, right? Then I take that $30 figure and I put it in my spreadsheet, right? Because I'm organizing the facts. That's SI.
Do you actually do spreadsheets on things?
I've been working on my SI.
Or is it mental?
No, I have a spreadsheet. I actually have I actually took 1 year's worth of my expenses and spending, and I put it all on a spreadsheet, because as an EP, one of my biggest life problem is I don't have self-discipline when it comes to finances. So I was trying to figure out where my money was going. So for one whole year, I recorded every single spending I had to the penny. I did not miss a single penny. I kept every single receipt, and I put it in a spreadsheet, and then I had like a massive like pie chart at the end with the exact percentage of my spending, which actually surprised me at the end of the year. I was like, oh my god, I'm spending what $800 a month on traveling, or like this much money a month on food. I was in groceries. I'm like, oh my god, like for me that was like a shocking figure, right? So that's what SIS. It's like it's actually physical. Like there's a physical component, like evidence of it. Like a receipt. I have a receipt, and I put the receipt on an Excel sheet. I put the exact date that I have it, the time, not the time, but just the date. So
I did that for some time before I was married, and then some time when we were, and I started. I discovered that in 3 months we had spent maybe twice the food budget on extra stuff, and most of it was milkshakes.
Oh.
I don't drink milkshakes. I know someone else who drinks milkshakes.
So it was your husband then?
Yes. So I was able to discover from those actual facts that like there was a percentage, and there was, like I could calculate and stuff. So I do find that I do enjoy doing that. I do really enjoy when I can just look at facts and graphs and stuff. That's why it was so interesting for me to do a survey for my friends and family, because with Google Forms it gives me pie charts of how many people think I'm a nerd and how
Yeah.
many people think that I'm, masculine or feminine, whatever.
So you pinged up a tribe then.
Yeah, well, I did.
For the facts.
Yeah.
You rely on a tribe for the ST then. Because that's what your play is, right? It's ST, so you're getting the figures from the tribe.
All right.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
All right. So my conclusion to our interview is I think you got typed correctly. Like, for
Cool.
my opinion, I think it was accurate. I know Benjamin said that you have masculine T and feminine FI. I think I'm gonna have to.
Based on what he saw,
Yeah, based on what he
and
saw.
something that we were talking about before he started before we actually started recording, and I should have asked what that was, what that gave him that impression, but I didn't ask for him to define his terms.
Right, but I mean, I think I agree more with Dave's typing. Just because after I spoke to you today, like everything seems accurate. Like you definitely have demon consume and demon sleep. Um, demon FI for sure. Like like earlier this interview, you had trouble like even using the FI. Like it took a lot of effort to get it started. Right, it wasn't automatic. Like your blast is very obvious. Like it's not like a pushy blast though, because you do have feminine TE, but
Mm-hmm.
you do have that blast. Like it's blast, 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 blast. So that one's obvious. I definitely saw the play a lot too. The double feminine play. So those were pretty prominent. Um, I think the only argument someone could make is perhaps someone could say you might be sleep last, consume third. But
Mm-hmm.
from our talk today, I do think that you have consumed last and you do have sleep third. I think
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it is quite accurate. Mainly because sometimes I would ask you a question and you would not. I had to repeat my question to you because you didn't even consume my question. Like you just went straight to a blasting and known information, right? So I was like, oh great, So and then like at least sleep, like it was a demon, but eventually when I pressed on for you to use it, you eventually tapped into it, right? But the
Mm-hmm.
consume was like a reoccurring struggle throughout the interview, like so. Like you just wanted to just keep going back to your known information. Like it was that masculine NI was so overpowering, right? Like it was.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
I was with, like, I am still wondering with, like, for I'm wanting some justification on the energy dominant rather than info dominant. I suppose that might be where I have a question of what is the difference between an info dominant person and an energy dominant person. Um,
well, the info dominant person would freak out if there's missing information. Like, you know, you came up with a conclusion, but the conclusion is not backed up with facts or logic. Um, for example, when I got my type back with Dave and Shan, they didn't really explain why they typed me as the specific type that I got. So that kind of bothered me. I was like, I need explanations. Like I need the full information. Can you break it down for me? But no, I didn't get it, right? Like I didn't get the full information. So for me, that was like it was like offensive almost, like not having that full information, right? Energy dominant, someone that's energy dominant. I can only use examples like my girlfriend and my sister both have blast last, right? So they just don't want to speak up, right? And then I have a friend who I think also has blast last, and like after he explains something once, he doesn't want to repeat himself again. Like he just doesn't want to repeat himself again. I have another friend I think also blast last. Like he told me something, like we were trying to schedule something, and I forgot like I forgot about the information that he told me, so I went up to double check the information from him. So that's me trying to be info dominant, right? I want to make sure I have all the information straight. And because he was energy dominant, he did not want to repeat himself. So he said, read the chat, read the chat. I already said it in one of the it's one of the chats. I'm like, why don't you just tell it to me? Like the amount of time that you spent telling me to read the chat, you could have just told me the actual.
Is it an info dominant or an energy dominant?
He's energy dominant, so he doesn't want to repeat himself. He doesn't want to expend energy to explain. I'm info dominant, so I want to get the figures right. I want to get the information straight, right? So that's kind of where like we're butting heads, right? It's because one person is trying to get information straight, the other person doesn't want to repeat himself, so he doesn't want to blast again, right? Blast and consume. So someone that had consumed last, like you know, maybe you don't need to get the information from, you know.
Yeah, I mean, both with you and Benjamin, we had a time set up, and I still wasn't actually sure how it was going to work, and I would just be like, okay, we're not going to talk until the day. I'm just going to wait for an email for a link, and
Yeah, like you
sure it'll work out.
I mean, I did explain to you. I don't know if you.
Yeah, well, I asked, but you wouldn't have told me if I didn't actually be like, maybe you should share that information with me.
I did. I shared it right off the bat. I'm like, oh, you're in New Zealand. That means it's actually this date for you. Like
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
like
There's just a few things to work out. So.
yeah, which it's just fine. It's fine. So yeah, then that just proves that you're energy dominant. Then like you know, it's the info accuracy is not the number one priority. You know.
Well, I suppose it is important to me, but if it's going to take time and resources from another person to get that from them, I probably, like, I don't want to be a bother.
Yeah.
I suppose that might be it, where like the energy dominant takes over rather than me wanting the information so much.
Well, I mean, the only thing that proves it is that you're tribe above self, and like throughout the interview, it's pretty obvious you're tribe above self. So, you know, that definitely proves that area of things. All right, Rebecca, thanks for doing the interview. That was great.
Cool.
So I'll say bye to everyone now. So bye, everyone. Thanks again to Rebecca. And we are